Okay, amazing. So we're joined here by Halsey Minor, who was the founder of CNET and also an early investor and backer, and at one point the largest shareholder of Salesforce.com. And him and I met at Polycon. He was a keynote speaker down at the conference, and that's when I got brought up to speed on his latest project, VideoCoin. And he's going to get into explaining what that is, but I think like a good foray into it is to talk about the sharing economy. People understand what happened with Uber and what happened with Airbnb and how these companies kind of reinvented, these unutilized assets that are sitting around, whether it's cars, whether it's apartments and homes, and actually brought them to the forefront so those assets could be utilized. And I think what you're trying to do, if I have an understanding of it, is doing that with the blockchain, but basically utilizing underutilized technology assets. There's a few companies that have done this. Filecoin's done it with storage, and you guys are going to be doing it for video. So tell us, what problem are you solving? For who are you solving it for? And who's going to make money and who's going to lose money?
Yeah. So a lot of people in blockchain talk about things in terms of crypto as opposed to in terms of solutions. So I was actually the second largest shareholder founder, and spent 4.5 years building that out. And CNET was obviously very early in sort of defining web publishing. So these are kind of very disruptive technologies, and they had their own benefits. Salesforce was cheaper, easier to implement, and more innovative. So the problem that we're trying to solve is the explosion in online media has created enormous problems with media companies large and small around the world. And the reason is because there's been this rapid shift from watching it on your TV or cable, through satellite or cable, to watching it on your computer or your mobile device. And as a result of that, they've gone from no incremental cost per user, if somebody shows up and watches TV, it doesn't cost them anymore, to incremental cost every time somebody turns on their computer or their mobile device and gets a stream from the company, because each of the streams is sort of one-on-one. So you've now got video growing at 25% compound annual. You've got video at 80% of internet traffic, and obviously growing very quickly. You've got all of these big media companies who are now being forced to serve their content over the internet, but they don't have any ability to monetize it. So even DirecTV, for instance, and the CTO is one of our advisors. I can speak personally. So I use their app now about half the time, and half the time watch television. The half the time that I use their app, it costs them money, and they're not charging me anymore for it. So I'm getting this whole other experience and this whole other cost structure for them, and they're really getting no incremental revenue. And so we have the CTO of 20th Century Fox, which I think is the second or third largest media company in the world. They have the same problem. And this problem of this exploding cost inside of their business that's not being monetized is exacerbated by the fact that the solutions providers for all this video are Amazon Web Services and Google. Both of those companies are direct competitors with every media company in the world. And you can add a third part of it, which is Amazon has never made money, but now they have huge margin in Amazon Web Services. So not only are they having to give their competitor money, they're giving their competitor money that's profitable, that can be reinvested back in their business to go after retail and to go after media. So it's a really, really horrible position for all of the world's media companies to be in. So that's what the problem is. So the question is, how do you do something different from Amazon Web Services in a way that genuinely lowers costs and increases the level of innovation? And so what crypto does is it allows us to create a new architecture around the new computing architecture around the internet. And in my world and how I look at crypto, and people have a lot of different uses for crypto, but my use is very straightforward. If you look at today how crypto works, you have people called miners who use their computer to do something useful, and they get paid based on doing that. So Bitcoin miners have tons of computers and they do processing and they have Bitcoin for it. And that concept has created the largest computing system in the world, which is effectively Bitcoin. So what we're doing is essentially replace the idea of miners mining Bitcoin with miners mining video, and you kind of walk right into this new computing model, which is the video miners can use their computer to encode, which means compress video, and you have to do that for all platforms, for storing it and for streaming it. There's a big difference. There's an important advantage that we have over say Bitcoin mining or crypto mining. Crypto mining requires their own cards. Video mining, every chip in every computer has a video encoder, which does the compression. So every computer has the capacity to be a video miner. And so the head of our engineering, who is head of Intel's cloud, so Intel built a cloud, video cloud, that competed with Amazon Web Services and Google. They didn't want to compete with their customers, so they sold to Facebook, and that's how Facebook got into video. So video showed up one day. That's effectively why. So we built this kind of cloud before, and this kind of ties back into what you said in the very beginning, which is our advantage is the ability to take advantage of computing resources that are all around the world, and they're dramatically underutilized. So we've seen that in cars. Obviously we've seen it in office space. We've seen it in people's homes. As it turns out, probably the single biggest use case is not cars or homes. It's actually computing, because you've got, at a minimum, 20% of all hardware in data centers, which is about $20 billion, are being completely unused. And that doesn't count, all the other devices that people have, and but just within data centers themselves, there's a vast amount of unused capacity. They can turn all that capacity into revenue, with really just kind of loading software. So in a way, the reason that it's in some ways a lot easier is because if you think about it, getting people to come into your car was kind of a big leap. And getting people to come into your house was a pretty big leap. Like, early on when I heard that Airbnb was working, I was shocked. Yeah. But as it turns out, for people to run our software on their computers, we don't have to go into their data center. We don't have to go in their home. We don't have to go in their car. They just run our software on computers that aren't being used, and they get paid for it. And so what that does is cuts costs dramatically.
Right, and in a way, because say like 9 years ago, the first Bitcoin was mined, right? We've already done the heavy lifting in terms of people's psychology around lending their computing power. So you've already kind of broken that friction point. And the other thing is like in the early days, like mom and pops and like anybody, the average person could lend their computing power. And then obviously like more and more computers, more sophisticated GPUs, and we had ASICs, like it got really, really, really complicated and really difficult. But with like VideoCoin, like you're saying, and the video processing power and the encoders, like everybody has those, but there's no competition yet on people giving their computing power for this. So it's actually like really early days, right? Because you can still have kind of average people getting into it, but I guess the data centers, these underutilized data centers, it's 20% underutilized capacity is where you really want to kind of get those guys signed up first, right? That's the kind of low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. I mean, we're really lucky because we're the first, we're the first coin that's come out, or I guess there have been a few others, but we take advantage of the full computational power of the data center, so the computing, the storage, and the streaming. So there are coins that do file storage, for instance, which takes advantage of one part of the infrastructure. We take advantage of the whole kind of computing architecture. And so, Bitcoin followed a path where people had their home computers they used, and then they put a card in their own computer, and then they started putting cards in data centers, and then they started engineering their own cards, which, ASIC, because that's how, competitive it became. So ours will never kind of follow that path because, I think for a long time the chips that Intel's making and are also made, by AMD and NVIDIA, they're all very efficient at doing video processing because every device effectively needs video processing today. I mean, even though servers, any computer going into a home needs to be able to, process video because we all use video. Like we're using video right now, and there's an encoder in there that's handling, the data between you and me. So yeah, I mean, if I tell people 10 years ago I went and said, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to create a system where people can load software on their computers, and I'm going to send them some currency that's unknown, and then I'm going to build an exchange, and I'm going to have that exchange, and they'll be able to convert it, right, and into whatever currency they have. I mean, if you think about the amount of infrastructure and the number of businesses I would need to create for the one business to work, would have been unbelievable. But we now have this amazing thing, which is if I create a coin, it'll start trading, even before the software is fully developed. Now, in our case, you use the coin instantly. But in a lot of cases, the coin will start trading and will be liquid before the actual project itself is done. And the good thing about that is that people know if they adopt that they can take that money and they can go convert it into whatever form of fiat they need to buy, more hardware or services. So it's a whole bunch of things that align, that allow sort of the magical computing architecture to emerge.
Yeah, and I mean, there's no one better to understand the power of video than myself. And in my business, like, I'm constantly on Instagram, and I'm constantly doing interviews just like this, and I'm constantly uploading content. And like my Rogers bill, which is like our telco company in Canada, like I have a $200 plan, and every month it's like, what? Why is it $1,000? Like, what did I do, right? And so, yeah, I completely understand the value proposition. And I guess these broadcasters and these media companies that are paying an arm and a leg to Amazon Web Services, it's just going to be a redistribution of that margin, right? Amazon's going to lose, and a company such as yourselves is going to win, and the broadcasters are going to get some capital back. But ultimately, I think the world, and I think I heard you talk about this in your BTC Miami talk, with like virtual reality and like where the world is really going is everything's going to like these live kind of moments. Like, so everything is going to be kind of happening in the here and the now, and who can, capitalize on that really is going to win. So it's fascinating.
Well, outside of crypto, really, the two places where the most innovation are going on in the world right now are in crypto and in video. And, you've got things like VR, which are coming along, and that's a fundamental, that turns video into one's reality. I mean, that's a really fundamental change. It's going to happen. I mean, it's probably going slower than people thought, but it's absolutely going to happen. And then you got AR. You've got some mixed reality. You've got so many things. So video itself is poised for, it's growing at 25% per annum, which is a lot. But, when you start taking the amount of data it takes to do VR, there's a reason why all of these grids that are being built, with LT, with the latest version of the latest protocol for wireless with 5 LTE5 or whatever, I don't know why I'm spacing. But the next mobile networks are all gigabit, and the reason they are is because data that's going to demand it. You're going to need gigabit kind of data to be immersed in these new mediums. Pardon me 1 second. So it's innovation on top of innovation that's all happening right now. And while we are lowering the cost, and that's the obvious part, what's less apparent but equally true is we're going to increase the innovation. And that's because we're effectively an open source service. And there's not a lot of innovation going on right now around Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud. But we will have a tremendous amount of innovation that comes around what we do. And if you think about it, even though video has been growing, it's been very stagnant. It was 10 years ago, maybe more, that YouTube got started, and that was very disruptive. You really can't point to anything else that's happened that's been, crazy disruptive.
Yeah, like I was in the Apple store the other day, and I agree with you. Like everybody thinks, they're a video blogger, but nothing's really kind of moved the dial. Apple's kind of now coming out with all of these products to kind of turn yourself into like a live blogger. So they have all these accessories you can buy, and like they see where this is going, but there hasn't really been like a step change yet.
No, not yet. That's right. But I think that starts to happen when you and I saw this with Salesforce because everybody bought it because it was cheaper. And I used to say to people, you're buying it now because it's cheaper, but you're going to keep it because it's more innovative.
Yeah.
And, and what happened was, every quarter at Salesforce, we came out with a new version, and that new version was better than the old version. So the innovation just kept going. And so I think when you bring a community of developers around something, which is what we're doing around VideoCoin, the amount of innovation is going to go up dramatically from what you have today.
I often use the Salesforce example when people ask me, what's the catalyst to take crypto to the next level? And everybody says, oh, institutional money. And that's one aspect. But I think if you use the example of Salesforce, which is like the software as a service, which was pervasive across a number of different sectors, very simple. You need something to manage your Salesforce, right? When that comes out for crypto, like whether it's something built on Ethereum that's going to go, it's just going to cut horizontally across every sector, and Fortune 500 companies start adopting it and using it, to me, that's like what I'm waiting for. And, VideoCoin, to be honest, it could be that thing because it's sector agnostic. It's not one sector. So I'm wondering if that same thinking went into you kind of going after this market specifically.
Yeah, look, I'm very focused on, I'm one of a very small number of people who have kind of built very innovative businesses, built consumer-oriented businesses, but have a really deep understanding of the enterprise. So, the reason that Mark Benioff came to me was, at the time I was running CNET, and it was a top 10 website in the world, but I'd also spun out my software into a company called Vignette, and they were an $11 billion enterprise software company for doing web publishing. In fact, they were the fastest growing company to $500 million in revenue ever. So I was already selling, through our ownership of Vignette, money into the enterprise. Salesforce has basically become literally an enterprise everything. It's not just CRM now. It's really kind of all your apps on one platform. So for me, I'm taking a very the things that I'm focused on and I understand are really around the enterprise use of the blockchain, and I think companies have struggled because you've got a lot of sort of innovative younger people on one side who are they're doing young stuff, but they don't have deep understanding of business process. And on the other side, you have companies like IBM and Oracle, and they understand deeply business process, but they have there's no reason for them to want to disrupt the way they make money. They'll take the blockchain and try to figure out how to put it in the same database and software they already have. They're not looking at it as a way to change their business process and change. So there's kind of this middle ground, right? And that's sort of where VideoCoin exists, which is helping the enterprise change their business process with something totally disruptive. But one of the things that we do at VideoCoin is we have what we call relay servers. And those relay servers will connect with Amazon and connect with Google. So all of the content you have, you can bring it in to VideoCoin. Because we will have these servers that connect. So you keep all of your stuff on AWS and then build out on VideoCoin. And that just comes from experience that we know that people don't typically like to pick everything up and move it en masse to something else. You're much better if you create a path, a glide path for them to shift from one sort of application to another. So I think the enterprise is a very big opportunity. It's one I certainly pay attention to. Just
Galaxy Digital, Anthony Diorio, co-founder of Ethereum. These are all an Alphabet fund, which is the guys at Google. These are all investors in VideoCoin. They were all part of the $50 million pre-sale that you did.
That's right.
So how did you do that marketing for the 50 million? Was it just literally like you picking up the phone and calling a few people and they're like, I'm in, or did you have to do a traditional walk around dog and pony show?
Yeah, I mean, so, we didn't buy ads, just to sell, and, we didn't do the sort of
ads.
more huge bounty programs. No, like, I think the industry is looking for very clear, obvious solutions to real problems that are backed by people who have experience building things before, built companies before, and so you always have to go and pitch people, of course. I think we should be one of the very top coins. I mean, we have a huge market. I mean, it's hard to find a market that's bigger than internet video. And if you think about, we're commoditizing computing, and you think about the value of the computing that we're commoditizing, it's like thinking about the value of the oil that's being traded, or soybeans being traded. What we're doing is effectively trading, creating a marketplace for hardware. And, if Airbnb and Uber are any proxy, I think we can expect this to be a very, very large business.
Yeah, I mean, those guys, like we weren't really losing money on our cars and real estate before. We just weren't really making any on it. But like with this video processing and encoding problem, like real companies are losing a lot of money. So I'm sure they will see the utility, no pun intended, in the coin and what you're building here. So what's the timing, do you think, on listing on an exchange? We're actually going to be hosting at Great Capital, and I'm happy that I'm a shareholder, or not a shareholder, I should coin holder of VideoCoin, but we're going to be hosting a conference in Muskoka. It's going to be a crypto and cannabis conference in end of July. So we'd love to have you come out and talk, or have you Skype in, or do something like that to talk to
right.
wealth managers.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you think by that point, so this will be end of July, do you think you'll be listed yet, or?
It's likely, yeah. I think it's likely we will be yeah. If I put money on it, I'd say yes, we will.
Okay, awesome. I had one more question. So I listened to another interview you did, and the interviewer pointed out that you have 7 children, and I was just floored by that, because like a busy guy like you, super successful. I was floored, but then at the same time I was like not, because I'm thinking this guy's competitive and he always wants to win, so he probably wants to have a lot of kids.
That one I didn't want to win. I'm quite frankly not even sure how it happened. Yeah, I mean,
what's the youngest, oldest?
I love kids. My oldest is now going off to college.
Okay.
But I have a 6-year-old. So. Okay. So normally I think I'd be upset about losing the ones that are going off, but fortunately I've replenished them with with young kids that'll sort of keep me busy for a while. But yeah, I mean, look, I don't play golf anymore, and there's certain sacrifices that you make, but I wouldn't have it any other way.
Well, there's also great benefits, because they're so attuned, the younger ones, to the latest and greatest in technology. So they probably think you're so cool being in crypto and everything.
Yeah. The older ones, the younger ones, they would only be impressed if I invented Fortnite.
If you invented what?
Fortnite. It's a game everybody's playing now.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
It blew up. There's no more Minecraft around here anymore. It's like everywhere is playing Fortnite. It's like it's a game you drop in, there are 100 of you, and the last person left wins. And it's been a phenomenon. Yeah, I mean, they think it's cool that I make things.
That's
You know, they see we make the VR camera. They've experienced it, they've used it, think it's cool. So yeah, I get it from all different ages. You know, what's cool when you're 6, all the way up to what's cool when you're a junior in college.
It's a not only is it a personal and family advantage, but it's a business one. So that's phenomenal. So Halsey, it was great having you. We're going to keep everybody abreast of all the developments on VideoCoin. And look forward to having you tell us more in July at Grit Camp conference.
Yeah, that's right. Just we'll drop into our Telegram channel and find out what we're doing with the airdrop.
Okay, amazing. Perfect.